Hello, my friend. This is Walter. Welcome to Daily English Podcast, where learning English becomes a daily habit of growth, reflection, and calm focus. Every episode is an invitation to slow down, listen with intention, and connect, not just with English, but with yourself. Today I want to ask you something. Have you ever wondered what could happen if you gave your mornings a deeper purpose? Imagine waking up when the world is still asleep, at 5 o'clock in the morning, when the air feels cleaner, the mind feels clearer, and silence becomes your best teacher. That hour isn't just about being early, it's about claiming time before it slips away. When you start your day with focus and intention, you begin to shape your life instead of reacting to it. At 5 a.m., distractions don't exist. There are no messages, no noise, no pressure, just space to breathe, learn, and grow. And that quiet space is where progress truly begins. Today, I want to share why this single habit, waking up early, can completely transform the way you learn, work, and live. Because this isn't only about mornings, it's about becoming someone who lives with clarity and control. Why does this specific hour matter so much? Because it's the one moment of the day when life feels still and untouched. The world hasn't yet demanded your attention, and the noise of other people's priorities hasn't filled your head. At 5 a.m., you're alone with your thoughts, your dreams, and your choices. And that's a rare kind of freedom. It's a mental space where clarity and focus rise naturally. You can think deeply without interruption, reflect without rush, and take small, intentional steps toward your goals. Many people say they don't have time to study, read, or plan, but time is already there. It's just hidden beneath comfort, distraction, and delay. When you rise early, you uncover those lost hours and turn them into a sanctuary for growth. You're no longer racing the clock, you're moving ahead of it. This hour gives you the power to start your day with direction rather than reaction. Waking up early isn't about being extreme. It's about being awake to your own potential, about choosing progress before the world even opens its eyes. What happens in that early quiet? Something rare and powerful. Silence has a way of training your mind to listen, not just to sounds, but to yourself. It helps you notice your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. When you sit with a warm drink or open your notebook, there's no pressure to rush. You can breathe deeply, think clearly, and act with calm intention. This quiet isn't empty, it's full of presence. When you learn or reflect in this state, your attention deepens naturally. You remember more, understand more, and feel more in control. The absence of noise sharpens awareness. You start seeing connections, ideas, and solutions that were hidden before. The early quiet also builds patience, a skill that strengthens everything, including your language learning. When you give yourself space to absorb English peacefully, without stress or hurry, the language begins to stay with you. Quiet mornings remind you that growth doesn't always need intensity. Sometimes it needs stillness. And in that stillness, you discover something deeper than motivation: inner focus. Why is discipline more valuable than comfort? Because comfort feels good in the moment but steals growth in the long run. Discipline, however, feels hard at first but gives you freedom later. When your alarm rings at 5 a.m., it's not just a sound, it's a choice. Do you stay where it's warm and safe, or do you rise for the person you want to become? Each morning offers that quiet decision between who you are and who you could be. Most people wait for motivation, but motivation fades, discipline stays. It's the act of doing what matters even when you don't feel like it. At first, it's uncomfortable. Your body resists, your mind complains. But each time you get up anyway, you strengthen your will. Over time, this small act of rising early becomes proof. Proof that you can trust yourself. Proof that you keep promises. That trust builds confidence, and that confidence builds momentum. The truth is, freedom doesn't come from doing what's easy. It comes from mastering yourself. Discipline turns effort into peace because you're no longer controlled by comfort. You're guided by purpose. How does consistency change your results? It turns effort into identity. When you wake up early every day, it stops being a challenge. It becomes who you are. This rhythm gives structure to your mornings and strength to your mind. Each small habit, reading, writing, studying English, or exercising, builds a rhythm of reliability. You no longer waste energy deciding whether to act, you simply act. That's how consistency saves energy and creates momentum. The more often you show up, the easier showing up becomes. And when discipline meets repetition, progress starts feeling effortless. You might not see change day by day, but weeks later you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Routine transforms chaos into clarity. It removes uncertainty and builds quiet power. You trust yourself more deeply because you know you'll show up again tomorrow. That's what momentum feels like. A calm kind of strength that grows slowly but lasts forever. What should you do between 5 and 8 a.m.? Protect those hours like gold. They form the foundation of your entire day. Start by awakening your body. Stretch, move, breathe. Then feed your mind. Study something meaningful. Practice English. Read something that inspires reflection. Finally, give direction to your day. Plan what matters, set intentions, and choose focus. These 3 simple pillars, body, mind, and direction, prepare you not just to face the day, but to lead it. By 8 a.m., while most people are still waking up, you've already created movement, learning, and clarity. That sense of progress fills you with quiet confidence. The first 3 hours are your private classroom, your gym, your strategy room. You begin your day full, not empty. You don't chase time anymore. You move with it. These hours teach you the truth about growth. When you start strong, you stay strong. And that strength carries into everything: your work, your relationships, your learning. Why is the early morning perfect for learning English? Because your mind is fresh, calm, and open. You haven't yet filled it with messages, worries, or distractions. At dawn, your focus belongs fully to you. When you study English then, your brain absorbs like a sponge. You listen more clearly, remember more easily, and understand more deeply. There's also something emotional about that hour. The quiet light, the still world, the soft focus. It makes learning feel peaceful instead of pressured. You're not racing a deadline, you're exploring. You can repeat words slowly, shadow sentences naturally, and think about meaning without noise. This kind of mindful practice builds fluency from the inside out. You begin to think in English, not just learn it. Over time, you start associating early mornings with progress, not struggle. The routine becomes sacred, your daily meeting with language, thought, and growth. You're not just studying English, you're becoming the kind of person who lives it. What does it mean to truly control your time? It means living by choice, not by chance. When you wake at 5 a.m., you begin your day before the world makes its demands. You're not reacting to alarms, messages, or pressure. You're acting with purpose. This feeling of control brings peace. You realize you have more time than you thought. You were just spending it unconsciously. Waking early teaches you to own your hours. It's a quiet declaration. I decide what matters. You stop being a passenger in your own life. You stop blaming the day for stealing your focus because you've already claimed your best hours. Control doesn't mean doing everything. It means doing what counts. And when you give your best energy to what counts, you gain something priceless: calm confidence. you start seeing that time expands when used with intention. The day feels longer, lighter, and fuller. You no longer chase productivity. You simply live on purpose. Why does waking up early feel so hard at first? Because every new habit demands a small kind of pain, the pain of change. Your body is used to comfort, your mind to old patterns. But discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's proof that you're growing. The first week feels heavy, but that's the price of transformation. When you rise despite resistance, you're building a powerful message inside yourself. I can do hard things. That message matters more than the hour itself. You can start gently, 10 minutes earlier each day. What matters most is consistency, not perfection. Slowly, your body adjusts, your energy improves, and what once felt impossible becomes normal. The hardest part of any new routine isn't the action, it's the decision. Once you decide fully, the habit follows naturally. Every sunrise becomes easier until one morning you realize the struggle is gone, and you've become someone new. Why is solitude such a gift? Because it's the mirror that shows you who you are. In the quiet of early morning, you can finally hear yourself think. There's no noise to hide behind, no rush to distract you. You meet your own thoughts, your real feelings, your quiet dreams. This is not loneliness, it's connection, deep and personal. Solitude lets you notice what you need, what you want, what truly matters. You start to understand your patterns, your fears, your hopes. This awareness brings calm and direction. When you spend this time with yourself each day, you stop running from discomfort and start listening to it. You become your own friend, the kind who encourages, not criticizes. That relationship with yourself strengthens everything else: learning, confidence, and peace. Solitude is not an escape from the world, it's preparation for it. When you're comfortable in your own company, no distraction can control you. Why do some people seem to have endless energy? Because they wake with purpose. When you have a reason to rise, tiredness loses power. Purpose gives direction to your energy, and direction gives meaning to your actions. Without it, even rest feels heavy, but with it, even effort feels light. The 5 a.m. habit isn't about forcing productivity. It's about aligning your mornings with what matters most to you. When your early hours serve your purpose, your whole day gains strength. You begin to wake not because you must, but because you want to. That simple shift changes everything. Energy flows from meaning. When you rise for something that inspires you, learning, growth, improvement, you create your own motivation. Purpose turns routine into ritual, and when your actions carry meaning, exhaustion turns into satisfaction. You realize that the real source of energy is not sleep alone, but direction. How do you measure real progress? Not by grand achievements, but by small wins repeated daily. Each morning, you wake early, study a bit, or reflect. You're stacking quiet victories. They don't look dramatic, but over time, they build strength that cannot be seen from the outside. The 5 a.m. practice teaches you that success is slow and consistent. Every repetition deepens your trust in yourself. You start proving that effort works, even when it feels invisible. This trust becomes self-belief. Growth doesn't need big moments, it needs steady ones. You learn to celebrate progress you can't yet see because you know it's forming beneath the surface. Small wins also teach patience, a key ingredient in learning any language or building any goal. Each act of showing up becomes a quiet reminder, I'm still becoming, and that's the essence of growth. Progress without pressure, confidence without noise. What does it mean to own your day? It means realizing that no one else will build your life for you. When you wake early, you take ownership, not of time, but of responsibility. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and you begin where you are. Ownership means understanding that your results are shaped by your choices. Each morning, you decide whether you'll act or drift. That decision defines your life. When you study English in that quiet space, you're not just improving a skill, you're training leadership over yourself. You're saying, I decide who I become. That's powerful. Ownership brings peace because it removes excuses. You no longer depend on motivation or luck, you depend on your own consistency. And that's something you can control. The more ownership you take, the freer you feel. You start to realize that responsibility is not a burden. It's the beginning of personal power. Who are you becoming each morning? Every early hour is a quiet conversation with your future self, the version of you who's fluent, confident, and calm. You're not chasing that person, you're building them. The future isn't some distant place, it's built in the actions you repeat today. When you rise early, you're stepping into that identity before it fully exists. You're showing your mind who's in charge. Each morning you practice discipline, reflection, and focus. You build a small bridge toward your ideal self. One day you'll realize that the gap between who you are and who you want to be has quietly disappeared. That's how real transformation happens. Not through big declarations, but through quiet, consistent alignment. The person you want to become is already waiting for you at 5 a.m. All you have to do is show up. Why does waking up early bring freedom? Because it turns life from something that happens to you into something you create. You stop reacting and start designing. The 5 a.m. routine gives you time to move slowly, think clearly, and act intentionally. It's not about control, it's about choice. The choice to live awake. Each morning, you say yes to your dreams before the world interrupts. You give your best energy to your growth, your learning, your peace. That choice builds identity, and identity builds freedom. Freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about knowing exactly what you're doing and why. When you rise early, you build a foundation of calm, focus, and discipline that supports every goal that follows. Over time, this becomes more than a habit. It becomes a way of life. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings, remember, you're not just waking up early, you're waking up to your life.